Hey everybody, Dr. David Haworth here with a Well-Groomed Minute. So let's talk about ears for a second. Ears are our most amazing organ for our dogs. Probably only second to the nose in terms of importance about them knowing what's going on in the world. But they're also a perfect breeding ground for bacteria and yeast, which cause all sorts of problems. These are the things that we can check on. So you see inflammation, redness, itchiness happens all the time. And also smell. So when we take our dogs into the groomer, those are things that a trained groomer will also look for. And we can even clean them out to some extent. Now, sometimes the ear problems are caused by allergies. That's another story. But for the most part, if you can help keep the dog's ears clean, and our groomers can help you keep those dogs' ears clean, they'll be a lot more comfortable. Okay, see you next time.
Did you know that you can actually help protect your pet from developing cancer by leaving their fur just a little bit longer? Dogs' coats have specifically evolved to protect them from things like parasites, disease, and sun exposure, and a well-groomed coat will do just that. Sometimes our pets get a little bit too furry, and it can mean a little extra work for us pet parents. A lot of times pet parents opt for a shorter haircut to help with the upkeep, but if we cut our pets too short, we leave them at risk. There are special protective cells in your pet's skin that are a central part of the body's immune system and the key to how the skin protects our pets. Studies have shown that if dogs' skin is exposed to too much sunlight, it destroys those protective cells or causes them to become cancerous. This means if we keep our pet's fur just a little bit longer, instead of opting for easy maintenance shave downs, we can help protect them from developing cancer or other related conditions. So how short is too short? This varies by breed and coat type, so be sure to speak to your groomer for haircut recommendations that will keep your pet protected.
Hi, my name is Claire Wiley. I am the Executive Director of the AKC DNA program. I have been in this position for about 8 months, but I've been involved in breeding, showing, grooming, and the veterinary medicine aspects of dogs basically my entire life. So I'm a second generation breeder of merit of Portuguese water dogs, like Koi here is one of my breeding from generations. So I grew up at dog shows and grooming and training and all of those things. The AKC DNA program has been around for almost 25 years, and our mission is really to protect the AKC registry. So our AKC DNA program provides each dog with a unique identification. So it's a set of genetic markers that is unique to that dog, almost like a fingerprint. We then put that into our database, and it checks that fingerprint against all the other dogs within our database to verify parentage. When we first started the AKC DNA program, we had over 10% of errors that we found in our registry, and we've gotten that down to less than 2% with this important service that we found. Sometimes there can be accidental breedings that the breeders aren't even aware of, so it really ensures that the puppy that people are purchasing from their AKC breeders are actually of the pedigree that they think it is. So So the AKC DNA program, the true purpose of it is to provide a genetic identity for every single dog, almost like a fingerprint. And that basically you get a set of markers back every time you submit a sample, and that goes into our database. We have over 1 million samples in our database that is really used to make sure that purebred dogs are purebred dogs and that their parents are the parents that they think they are for the most part. That helps also solve disputes and problems in the future. And one of the big benefits is that you can have multiple sired litters as well. In dogs, you can have 2 fathers, and this DNA program can help determine who the father is for the puppies. So our test kit it's very simple. It comes in an envelope, and it includes basically 2 cheek swabs that we use to collect a sample from your dog. Each one of them has a barcode that is unique to the sample for your dog. And you then submit it into an envelope that also has a unique barcode. And that gets sent directly to the lab. You also go online to a portal where you can enter your dog's information and submit the kit that way. And in 3 to 4 weeks, you get the results back. AKC DNA kit cannot be used to determine a breed identity. There are a few kits on the market that suggest they can do that, but they're almost kind of like, think of it almost like 23andMe and Ancestry.com. They can give you kind of an idea of a breed, but it's more for entertainment purposes. Bottom line, the only thing that can tell you if your dog is purebred is the AKC pedigree that we have that goes back generations. So there are just some scientific reasons why it can be really difficult to determine a breed from DNA testing. And that's partially why you hear these stories that twins submit their DNA to 23andMe and get different results and things like that. So the AKC DNA test is not for determining the specific breed. It's to determine the genetic identity of your dog. That goes into the database that checks it against parentage. And therefore, it's verifying your breed through the pedigree and the AKC registry that has been around for hundreds of years and evolves with our dogs over time. Oh, first, you want to make sure that your dog has not eaten in 30 minutes to an hour because that can affect the results. Then you can take your cheek swab from its packaging. I like to have a dog on a grooming table or in a noose like Koi is for us today. It just gives you a bit more control. It's eye level, but you can also do it in any way. And then all you have to do, the goal of collecting a cheek swab is to get cells from the cheek lining. It's not saliva. So you just want to get it in this cheek pouch, kind of in between. So you can just insert it and you want to roll it around for 30 seconds to a minute or 10 to 15 seconds. You can go as long as you want if they let you, just to get some cells on your cheek swab. And then you take it out, you want to let it dry for a little bit, and then you can put it back into the packaging. And then you repeat with the second one. And you just put it right back into the packaging it came out of, and you can leave it open so it has room to breathe. You fill out the dog's information on the sleeve, and you put the cheek swabs into this sleeve for submission. Seal it, sign the back, and then we give you an envelope that's pre-addressed that you can put the sleeve into and mail back to the lab. You do have to make sure you include a stamp. You mail it to the lab, but you also need to make sure you go to dna.akc.org to activate the kit online for that individual dog. The biggest limitation to this test is that, like, let's say you want to double check the parentage of your dog. Like, you buy a dog from a breeder and you want to double check that your dog is who your breeders say it is. The biggest limitation is that the dog's parents have to be in our database for it to actually check back to those dogs and make sure that they are the parents of that dog. So if the breeders did not submit a sample for their dogs, then it won't actually check back because it's all based on the database. The AKC does have certain requirements for when you should submit a sample. And that's basically for frequently used sires. So if a male stud dog has 3 or more puppies, 3 or more litters in a year, or 6 or more in a lifetime, then the AKC requires that they have DNA on file. It's also required for frozen semen litters and foreign imports. There are also certain clubs that do recommend that all breeding stock get their AKC DNA performed. So Portuguese water dogs, for example, we recommend it on everyone. Vizslas, German Shorthair Pointers, some other breeds recommend that they have the AKC DNA for the nationals. So that's probably the biggest limitation. The alliance between the American Kennel Club and Well-Groomed Pets really takes out the hassle of having to swab their dogs, make sure that they have the stamps, and actually even like getting to the mailbox to send these samples. If you're like me, it sat in my car for like 2 months. And so basically breeders or pet parents can drop off their dogs to get groomed, check it off and say they want this to be performed, and then it's all done, no hassle, easy peasy. So that's kind of the best thing. And it's also helping to bring awareness to the importance of this type of genetic testing to help protect our purebred dogs and make sure that, you know, we protect the integrity of parentage and pedigrees, because that's really important to making sure that consumers and pet parents are getting what they think they're buying when they spend thousands of dollars on a puppy.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. David Haworth for another Well-Groomed Minute. This time, as we're approaching our summer months, I wanted to do a quick little talk about eyes. What do we look for? Clearly, you look for redness and light sensitivity. That's the biggest thing you'll mostly see in dogs when they have some kind of injury or irritation to their eyes. It's bilateral, it's happening in both eyes. Most of the time when it's an injury, it's just unilateral, it's happening in one eye. So what you want to do is not let it go too long, but it's okay to let it go one evening, take a look, see if there's anything obvious going on in the eye. If it's really, really painful, there's some medications we can do. This is a good place for us to run to the veterinarian. On the other hand, if they're just a little goopy or they're more goopy than usual, you can use soft cotton tips to wipe out that stuff, all the gunk that's getting collected up. And we can also get some easy medications if you can go visit your veterinarian in order to get some allergy drops and that kind of thing.
It's Mike Hill. I'm the CEO of the Well-Groomed franchise system, and I wanted to take a quick second to talk to you about the market opportunity, and not so much the opportunity to own a well-groomed pet salon. We have a great opportunity there, but I wanted to talk to you about the pet industry. And if you're here, it's probably because you're seeing a lot more dogs out there, and your friends are maybe getting a little bit crazy, dressing them up or doing some creative grooming. And what you're seeing is people are spending a lot more money. Let me try to put a fine point on that and help you think through that. So it took about 50 years for 77 million dogs to end up in US households. Then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we had this massive adoption of animals, right? So everybody started adopting dogs. As a matter of fact, we went from 77 million to over 90 million dogs living in US households. And that happened in about an 18-month window. This crazy adoption. Rescues and shelters were emptied. Breeders went crazy. Everything was on backlog. But people were home, and so they had these animals. They wanted to care for these animals. Well, simultaneously, health departments around the country were making the determination on whether or not the grooming salons in their county would be considered essential or non-essential. And remember, that was a county-by-county decision. Well, many of them were determined to be non-essential. I'm in California, and in Orange County, they were non-essential. But in Alameda County, which was Northern California, or is Northern California, it's the largest county in Northern California, it was determined to be essential, so they left them open. But a lot of the independents couldn't survive that slowdown, that basically that shutdown of their business, so we lost some supply. Simultaneously, we had this big increase in demand, and that gap is what we're trying to fill, that demand gap, and it is massive. And I don't have to tell you, if you've done any homework and you go out and you talk to dog grooming salons, you just ask them, how long does it take to get an appointment? And they're telling you anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks, and some salons say we aren't taking any new clients. So this is a great opportunity. It's a great moment in time for the pet industry to get into the pet industry. I hope that kind of helps you as you're thinking through. It's super important to understand where a market is going when you get into it. You definitely want to get in when it's growing and not so much when it's on the decline. And this is that moment in time where I think we look back in 5 or 10 years and we see this incredible pet boom, and you have an opportunity to get involved in that. So anyway, congratulations on your decision to get involved in the pet industry. Whether you land with Well-Groomed Pets or not, you've chosen a really great, strong, growing industry. Thanks very much.
This week, I'd like to talk about lumps in our pets. Lumps can be kind of scary because they can come up really fast, but they can be bad and they cannot be bad. So how do you know? And how do you find them? We use the 1, 2, 3 rule. So if you have an insult of some kind, like an injection or a vaccine, and they within 1 month of that, if you see a lump start to develop, something to worry about. If it lasts for 2 months, you want to pay attention to that especially. And if it's bigger than 3 centimeters, time to go talk to the veterinarian. But sometimes we miss these things. How can we find them all the time? Well, the answer might just be in your groomers. So groomers, especially well-trained groomers, by the work they're doing, puts their hands all over the pet. They can find those and track those, particularly the well-trained groomers who are looking for these things. Hope that helps. Take care of your pets. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you again later.